Colombian rescuers are racing against time to find more survivors after the devastating 7.4 magnitude earthquake that killed at least 216 people. Morocco has presented a report accusing the Spanish police of assaulting migrants in Ceuta and has claimed sovereignty over Ceuta and Melilla.
Greek artistic swimmers Anna Maria Vasiliki and Irene Alexandri now compete for Greece after more than a decade representing Austria.
Colombian rescuers are racing against time to find more survivors after the devastating 7.4 magnitude earthquake that killed at least 216 people. A 32-year-old woman was recently pulled alive from a collapsed building, sparking cheers as exhausted crews continue searching for survivors. Across western Colombia, soldiers, firefighters and volunteers used cranes, sniffer dogs and heavy machinery to search collapsed buildings. In Cali, residents also dug through rubble with picks, shovels and their bare hands. Beyond the rescue effort, many families spent the night outdoors as aftershocks rattled damaged neighborhoods. A park in Pereira became a makeshift shelter for people who had lost their homes. The earthquake also damaged a hospital in Cali, forcing doctors to treat some patients outside. President Abelardo de la Espriella declared a state of emergency and promised rent subsidies.
Hungarian lawmakers approved former Supreme Court Chief András Baka as the country's new president on Tuesday. The move comes following the contested removal last month of the previous head of state, as Prime Minister Peter Magyar works to loosen the grip of his predecessor, Viktor Orbán, over state institutions. Baka served 17 years as a judge on the European Court of Human Rights. He was elected with 140 votes in favor and 6 votes against.
Azt gondoljuk, hogy Baka András egy valóban a politikai pártoktól független, szuverén ember, aki nem hiszem, hogy bármilyen módon befolyásolható lesz bármelyik politikai oldalról.
In his inaugural address, the new president said he had not expected to take on such a role, but seeing that young people and rural voters had voted for change, accountability and social reconciliation, he felt ready to step into the position.
A köztársasági elnök ehhez saját alkotmányos hatásköreinek következetes, átlátható és független gyakorlásával járulhat hozzá. Nem írhat alá törvényeket puszta formalitásként, nem tekintheti magát a mindenkori parlamenti többség vagy a kormány meghosszabbított kezének, és nem hallgathat akkor, amikor az alkotmányos működés alapvető kérdései forognak kockán.
Orbán's Fidesz party, along with its ally KDNP, boycotted the parliamentary vote. They argued that the TISA party illegitimately removed the previous president.
Baka András megválasztásával nem ért véget a vita a köztársasági elnöki pozícióról. Az új államfőnek be kell bizonyítania, hogy valóban az alkotmányosság őrzője, és nem a TISA kétharmad kinevezettje. Egy olyan ember, aki hosszú idő után először képes kifejezni a nemzet egységét. Az pedig még csak a jövőben fog eldőlni, hogy az új alkotmány milyen jogköröket ad majd a köztársasági elnöknek, és a TISA betartja-e régi ígéretét, miszerint a következő államfőt már a magyarok közvetlenül fogják megválasztani. Siposegyi Zoltán, Euronews, Budapest.
Following the migration crisis where tens of thousands of people forced their way into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta on 30 and 31st of July, Morocco's National Human Rights Council has presented a report accusing the Spanish police of assaulting those migrants with allegations of mistreatment that, according to the text, occurred out of camera view. This is not the first time this council has pinned the responsibility on the Spanish authorities for keeping gates closed, as it targeted Spain in 2022 after the Melilla border fence was stormed, which resulted in the death of 23 people. The latest accusation comes just one day after Ceuta received Foreign Minister José Manuel Álvarez, who traveled on Tuesday and emphasized cooperation with Morocco to return migrants who entered illegally.
La integridad del espacio Schengen está totalmente garantizada en Ceuta y en Melilla. Y también, igualmente, aprovecho para plantear en Europa la necesidad de reforzar el apoyo a Ceuta, también a Melilla, y de que se tenga en cuenta su especificidad también desde un punto de vista social y económica.
But these positive words toward Morocco came while the neighboring country claims sovereignty over Ceuta and Melilla, two autonomous cities that have never belonged to Morocco, despite being in Africa. The Spanish minister, who has avoided confrontation with his southern neighbor, promised that every single person who crossed irregularly would be returned to Morocco, a message also directed at the other 26 EU member states that have criticized Spain's migration policies.
Former U.S. Marine Robert Gilman returned to the United States late Tuesday evening after being released from a Russian prison where he had been held since 2022. The 32-year-old was welcomed by U.S. officials upon arrival and is expected to receive medical treatment after advocates raised concerns about his deteriorating health while imprisoned in Russia. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump said his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, had approved Gilman's release on humanitarian grounds. Gilman was reportedly held at a psychiatric ward of a hospital while in Russia. Accused of assaulting a police officer following an incident on a train in Voronezh to the south of Moscow, Gilman was arrested and detained. He was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison over the incident, but his sentence was later extended to 10 years after he was alleged to have attacked prison staff.
Qatar says talks between Iran and Oman are at an advanced stage, with Doha pointing to positive signs that an agreement could be close. The comments come a day after Oman's Sultan Haytham bin Tariq visited Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Doha. The two leaders discussed regional developments as Oman continues its diplomatic efforts with Iran. Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Dr. Majid Al-Ansari says Qatar supports those efforts and is closely following the talks.
مسألة المفاوضات حاليا هي في نقطة مفصلية، ونقدر بشكل كبير جدا جهود الأشقاء في سلطنة عمان، وندعم كل مساعي خفض التصعيد.
Dr. Al-Ansari says Doha wants freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz restored immediately and in line with international law.
ونحن في دولة قطر ندعم أي صيغة تفاهم تضمن أمن المضيق، وأن لا يتحول المضيق مستقبلا طبعا إلى أداة للابتزاز السياسي كما تم خلال هذه الأزمة.
Qatar says any future arrangement over the strait should have regional consensus and respect international law. Adil Halim, Euronews, Doha.
Europe is getting ready to look up as the moon prepares to pass directly between the Earth and the Sun. For millions across parts of Europe, the eclipse will bring a dramatic change to daylight, with the sky briefly taking on an eerie twilight-like appearance. Places like Greenland, Iceland, and northern Spain are expected to experience daytime darkness from the eclipse, while more than 90% of the sun will be covered by the moon for most parts of the UK. It can be a long wait to see such an event. Spain's last full solar eclipse occurred 2 days before the Titanic's sinking in 1912. With the solar eclipse approaching fast, astronomy shops across Western Europe are seeing a last-minute rush for certified viewing equipment. In Paris, many had to queue up for hours to get the glasses and binoculars. According to astronomers, spectators are expected to protect their eyes using certified eclipse glasses or other approved solar viewing equipment while looking up to see the eclipse.
Sports medals carry weight not just because they are the result of hard work, but because sometimes they embody an entire life. For Anna Maria Vasiliki and Irene Alexandri, these medals embody 14 years away from Greece, countless hours of training, hardships, doubts, but also a dream that never faded to compete again under the Greek flag.
Θέλαμε κι εμείς πάρα πολύ να γυρίσουμε. Εδώ είναι όλη μας η οικογένεια, το σπίτι μας, οι φίλοι μας. Είμαστε πάρα πολύ χαρούμενες και συγκινημένες που αγωνιζόμαστε πλέον για την Ελλάδα.
At age 15, the three sisters left for Austria in 2012, a foreign country, an unfamiliar language, a new school, and a life they had to build from scratch. But for it all, they had each other.
Αυτό που μας έσωσε, θα πω, ήταν το ότι είχαμε η μία την άλλη. Ήμασταν μαζί. Η πρώτη χρονιά για μένα ήταν η χειρότερη. Μου έλειπε πάρα πολύ η μαμά, ήταν πολύ δύσκολο. Πάντα ήταν μέσα μας βαθιά επιθυμία να αγωνιστούμε με την Ελλάδα. Πήραμε πολύ αγάπη, μας αγκάλιασαν από την πρώτη στιγμή, πίστεψαν σε εμάς που είναι το πιο σημαντικό. Γιατί πολλές φορές και εσύ έχεις αμφιβολίες. Ήταν μια απόφαση πολύ μεγάλη, θα έλεγα. Άλλαξε η ζωή μας μετά από 14 χρόνια. Όταν μας έγινε η πρόταση, δηλαδή, ήμασταν πάρα πολύ χαρούμενες. Και από την Κολυμβητική Ομοσπονδία, δηλαδή, όταν έγινε η πρόταση και μετά και με τον κύριο Κούβελο, τον πρόεδρο της Ολυμπιακής Επιτροπής, που ήρθαμε σε επαφή. Μόλις το γνωρίσαμε και μιλήσαμε μαζί του, ήταν κατευθείαν ναι.
Representing Greece, the triplets dominated the European Aquatics Championships held in Paris, where they claimed multiple medals, including gold.
Έχουμε πάρει 3 πανευρωπαϊκά για την Αυστρία χρυσά, αλλά τώρα τα χρυσά για την Ελλάδα είναι κάτι εντελώς διαφορετικό. Ακούμε τον εθνικό μας ύμνο, περηφάνεια και συγκίνηση είναι τεράστια. Ανυπομονούσαμε για αυτή τη στιγμή, θα έλεγα. Συνέβαλε πάρα πολύ και η μαμά, η οποία στήριξε 100% τον αγώνα μας και τα θέλω μας και έβαλε πίσω ίσως και τα δικά της, με την έννοια ότι άδειασε το σπίτι της, από εκεί που ήμασταν 3 παιδιά μέσα, ξαφνικά έμεινε μόνη της. Παρ' όλα αυτά όμως το στήριξε το όλο στο 100% και της οφείλουμε τα πάντα.
The Alexandri sisters have one more goal: to make their own journey an inspiration for girls who follow behind.
Με το βλέμμα στραμμένο στις επόμενες μεγάλες διοργανώσεις, οι αδερφές Αλεξανδροί συνεχίζουν την πορεία τους με τα ελληνικά χρώματα. Η επιστροφή τους έχει ήδη αφήσει το αποτύπωμά της στην ελληνική καλλιτεχνική κολύμβηση και το ενδιαφέρον στρέφεται τώρα στα επόμενα βήματά τους. Από την Αθήνα για το Euronews, Φέη Δουλγέρη.